There wasn't the appreciation of one of our own at that time, really. And I think a gallery for a John Miller Nicholson collection would be a fantastic way of shouting out that the Isle of Man has had really outstanding artists living amongst us that was totally didn't get the recognition that they should. That's one way, I think, of giving him the credit for being just a genius, in my opinion, that he was. He should have been more widely recognised. It's a great tragedy. The only plus point to me personally is that myself on limited means can afford to have some of his paintings, of which I take great pleasure and delight from. I've got one of Douglas Bay with the old iron pier, and I've got a real detailed one, and I've got the fishing boats in Peel Harbour where the road out to the castle hasn't been built, and you've got the herring fleet in there. And if you remember, the Manx herring fleet was famous for its ruddy brown sail, which I believe they put a certain type of wood bark in the water and then dipped and that's there in the painting. So, and because it's sort of pre-Raphaelite, the detail is phenomenal. So yes, in a way, it's like early photographs. It's showing you what happened at that time. So I suppose for some people who maybe aren't into their art as much as me, just seeing that alone will impress them. For those who love their art maybe a little bit more, or like the impressionistic side, the atmosphere that he creates is, and the way he was able to paint colour in the countryside. He liked Turner. Turner was a painter that he greatly admired, and I think personally he was up there with Turner. If we look at certain eras in history, we tend to find clusters of, in my opinion, greatness. Mozart, Beethoven. If you look at the Isle of Man in the 19th century, John Miller Nicholson and T. Brown were good friends, that they were in the same circle. Now, T. Brown has got the recognition as an outstanding poet, absolutely quite rightly so. The beauty of the thing when Tilda play Betsy Lee is, I found, that's a poem to me that can hold its own anywhere. T. Brown has got the recognition in the eyes of the Manx people, I suppose, for that poem, but we haven't done the same with John Miller Nicholson, who, in my opinion, was as great, if not greater, than T. Brown in his genre of art compared with T. Brown's poetry, because I really, really rate John Miller Nicholson. I'd like to see a gallery. Funnily enough, this was tried soon after his death. He died in 1913. Because he was so shy, he hid his light under, the biblical phrase, you have your light under a bushel. Well, I'm afraid John Miller Nicholson did that. He didn't. And he was very fussy. He wouldn't sell, if he didn't like you or whatever, he wouldn't sell your painting to him, and he was offered good money for some of his paintings. So, a bit of an awkward character, I suppose, but sometimes you've got to be a bit awkward to be that sort of genius that sets you apart from the run of the mill, paint. There are some modernish painters that I have in my collection. I've got a Norman Sale. Tony Only, he was born in the north of the island, went out to Canada, and he died in a plane crash. I met him. He did an exhibition at Tynwald Mills, and I bought his painting of Old Ballaft Church, and he really had caught the atmosphere. They're not quite up to the standard of Miller Nicholson, but I really thought he was able to paint atmospheric. Svetlana Cameron, I think her portrait work is outstanding, and she's working on a piece for me at the moment. Maybe when I'm no longer Chief Minister and I have a life, I'll be able to work with others to try and raise that profile. Having said that, I think modern tastes and styles. I've got a modern painting outside this office which works for me, but I don't normally buy it. But that's where the majority of people go for now. Buying squiggles on a canvas and interpreting it as something doesn't normally float my boat, but that's where the real money is at the moment. So I suppose at this moment in time, the sort of John Miller Nicholson style isn't in vogue necessarily, but it should be, and I hope, if you look at fashions, sometimes they come round in full circle, and I think the people of the Isle of Man and further afield will benefit from greater exposure to the works of John Miller Nicholson.